All right, YouTube, we are live. Whoop whoop. Let's wait for some people to tune in here. All right. Hey guys, what's up? For those of you who are just tuning in and don't know who I am Josh Morgan, owner and director of Momentum Productions, also known as that Steadicam guy. So I created a lot of the more popular GlideCam tutorials I created, and so happy to be back online after taking a few days of a break. Um, but yeah, what's up everybody? Todd, Israel, what's up you guys? How you guys doing? Good morning to you too. For me, it's 1 a.m. in Los Angeles right now, so that's funny, isn't it? So I wanted to go over a pretty cool tip with you guys. Um, let's wait for some more people to tune in here. So I wanted to talk to you guys about protecting your camera gear by using this one simple trick. All right, don't mind my messy bed. All right, creative people are always messy, so this is my messy bed in the back. Don't pay attention to it. But let me grab my camera. I'm going to show you what I did to it, and I'll show you what you can do to better protect your equipment. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me grab my camera here. All right. Okay, here we are. I'm back. Cool. So here is my Sony A9. I almost said A7R2 because I was so used to that camera. But here's my Sony A9. Okay, so I did 3 things to protect it from some scratches, some dings, and from theft. Okay, so let's first cover theft. All right, so notice how the Sony logo is blocked off and how the A9 logo is blocked off. But just to prove that it is the Sony A9, let me get you guys a little close-up of the back logo here. I don't know if you guys could see it. It says A9 right there. That's A9. So I blocked out the Sony logo and I blocked out the A9 logo. So if you go to a lot of weddings and events in general, whether you're working there or not, you'll notice that a lot of photographers, a lot of filmmakers that are filming and taking care of the event, they have the logos blocked out of all of their cameras, and even sometimes like tripods and stuff like that, they block out the gear. Statistics have shown that if you were to block out the brand, make, and model of the camera equipment that you're using, thieves are less likely to steal it because you might be using a cheap camera and might not worth be stealing, you know? They don't know the brand, make, or model. If they're not a pro filmmaker, they're not going to know what kind of camera this is without looking at the logo. So by covering up the logo and the emblems here, there's a slightly smaller chance of this stuff getting stolen when you're not paying close attention to it. Even though you should be paying close attention to your gear. I mean, this is basically almost a $6,000 setup I'm holding in my hand. So, you know, you have to pay very close attention to your equipment. When you set it down somewhere safe. If you go to the bathroom, put it back in your case, lock up your case. And if the venue has like a storage area where crew members put all their keys and all their expensive stuff, make sure your equipment goes in there and nowhere else. And even so, even if it's in the storage area where the crew keeps their stuff, lock it down. Bring like maybe not a bike chain, but they have special like small steel lanyards that you can bring with you. Lock it up and make sure that it's nice and safe. So that's a good little tip there. By the way, the GH4 is still $1,000 camera. The GH4 is still considered an expensive camera. Okay, it's still more than a 5D Mark II. So So GH4 is still, I still have my GH4, and I'm not going to sell it anytime soon, I don't think. So it's still a pretty good camera. So make sure that you block off the logos and all that other stuff. Second tip, get a screen protector. I learned the hard way. I got this cheap, like $3 screen protector. It's like a glue-on. It goes onto the back of your LCD. This is really important because when I had my Sony a7R II, I somehow scratched up the back, the screen. I have no idea. I kept it in its case the whole entire time. I didn't keep any keys in the case or anything like that. Somehow it scratched up. I have no idea how. So me being the smartass, sorry for my language, but being the smartass that I am, I was like, hey, this should be easy to repair. Maybe I should just swap out the screen, you know, buy a $15 screen off eBay, brand new, from China coming in. So I took apart my a7R II and I snapped a few ribbon cables. So the LCD was busted and I wasn't able to do the replacement. So I sold my a7R II and I bought the Sony A9. I didn't want to go back to the same camera. I wanted to upgrade. If I was gonna spend thousands of dollars on another camera, I might as well spend a few extra more bucks and get an upgrade that will last me another 4 or 5 years. And that is the Sony A9 in my opinion. So yeah, definitely get a screen protector because these Sony cameras, they have a glass plating with really bad anti-scratch coating. The GH4 has like a plastic screen coating on it, and it's a touch screen, so the likelihood of that scratching up is not nearly as high as the Sony cameras because they use glass. So keep that in mind. Keep your screen protected. Another tip that I found useful, keep a quick release plate on your camera at all times. Not only does it make it easy to put on tripods or put on gimbals or anything that uses a quick release system, it also protects the base of your camera. I remember on my Sony a7R II and even my Sony a7S, which I still use, it has like some scratches from times that I've been mounting it on my tripod and when I've just simply been setting it down on the ground. This quick release plate, it's made out of metal, so all the, you know, every single time you're going to set it on the ground or somewhere rough where it could potentially scratch your body, it'll just scratch the quick release plate instead. And honestly, you can scratch this as much as you want and it's not going to look bad. It's actually going to look better because this is going to make the quick release plate look like vintage and used and pretty cool like that. So I started keeping my quick release plate on my camera at all times. When I need to swap it out and put it on a different quick release system, I just simply unscrew the screw and that's it. But I like to keep my quick release plate on at all times. And when you set it down, it makes the camera more stable. This camera right now is, you know, front heavy, obviously because of the big lens that I have on here right now. But because of this quick release plate, it's long enough to make the camera stable, so it's not going to wobble back and forth because of the front heavy weight. So keep the quick release plate on. I strongly recommend it. It's going to protect the bottom of your camera from putting it on rough areas like concrete or any other rough area. So quick release plate, definitely a good thing to keep on your camera at all times. Strongly recommend it. And it can take beating. It really can. These quick release plates, I mean, they're all metal, guys. So keep that in mind. Halvin Wolf said he thought he was weird for doing that. So Halvin, you've been doing the same thing, man? I just started doing this today, and I thought, hey, I might as well just leave it on, right? Because I set down my camera a lot on like the ground sometimes when I don't have like a table or something. So I might as well have something that will take all the damage. And there's nothing better than using a quick release plate, right? You should see the bottom part of my Sony a7S. It's pretty scratched up, but probably because I dropped it once. So yeah, don't drop your camera. That's not a good thing. One of my tripod legs got loose, and one of the legs just completely like collapsed, and the whole tripod fell over, and my camera went boom head first on a Zeiss lens. Thankfully, though, nothing happened to the camera besides that little scratch on the bottom. And nothing happened to the Zeiss lens. If anything, just the lens cap just flew off. But the lens cap protected, or the lens hood protected the lens from making actual contact and scratching up the glass. And also keep a UV filter on your lens at all times. If you notice, I have a filter on here. This is not the actual lens, but this is a UV filter. Well, I just touched it with my greasy hands. Now I have to find a cloth here. Always keep a UV filter or some sort of filter on your lens, especially with expensive glass, because there will come a day, I don't want to say this, but I have to, there will come a day where some of your equipment might not just be sturdy as you think it is, and something's going to fall over. And some of that time, it's going to be your camera. So protect your glass. I doubt anything is going to really happen to the actual body of the camera, since it's basically like a rock. I've dropped my Sony a7S twice already, and besides a few scratches on the body, nothing has happened to it. And but you do want to protect your lens, because the lens is a lot more fragile than a camera body. June Media says, I started watching your channel since last week, and so far I'm enjoying your content. I begin to join photography and soon moving to cinematography. Awesome, man. June, welcome, dude. Welcome to the Momentum fam. Aries, did you notice any downside with the Flowcam 4000? So in my review video, I did notice a few downsides. I stated that the quick release, this is the quick release plate actually from the Flowcam. I had to put in my own washer here because the screw that they provide is too long. But I spoke to the manufacturer today. They said they're going to fix that issue immediately. They're also going to add some new improvements to the telescopic boom post. That there were just some things that I wasn't happy with, but they're going to add improvements to it. The engineering team is on it. They're going to redesign the boom post, and well, they should. That's what they said they would do, and they're going to fix the quick release system here by including a washer and actually another screw. So regarding stabilization, it's a fantastic gimbal. I absolutely love it. It's actually, I think it's my favorite gimbal to date. It's more sturdy than the Lang. It's more sturdy than the Wieldy, and it's at least $50 cheaper than both systems. So consider it. If you have like an extra washer, or something that can shorten up the length of the screw, maybe you have a shorter screw, go ahead and buy the system now. Don't let a washer be the only thing that's keeping you from buying the system, because washers are like 10 cents at Home Depot if you don't have any. So, and besides that, the stabilizer is fantastic. I got such great footage with it, you guys. I was even able to shoot with one hand, because usually I like to shoot with two hands, one hand on the handle, one hand on tapping the gimbal. By shooting with one hand, it was still able to completely stay on me, and it wasn't drifting around. So that's really high precision right there, really high precision. So I hope that answered your question, Ars. Halvin Wolf is asking, how are you enjoying your A9? Are you missing your A7S? So I think you mean A7R2, because that's the one I sold. I loved my A7R2. I had a really strong, this is going to sound weird, but I had a relationship, like a bond with my A7R2. But am I missing it right now? To be honest, I think I got over it within 2 days. Because I looked at the footage from the A9, and it's superior, really superior to the A7R2. And I'll tell you why. We have 4K at 100 megabits per second at 24 frames per second. We have full pixel readout, 6K imaging downscaled to 4K. So that's basically, we're using this is a 6K sensor, guys. And it's downscaling that data into 4K simply because the processors in these cameras aren't capable of processing 6K footage yet, but they will in the future. And because of the overheating issue, these bodies are very small, and it's very difficult to dissipate heat in these bodies. So this is basically a 6K camera downscaling it to a 4K resolution. So you're going to get ultra sharp images, and the dynamic range. Even though there's no picture profiles in the Sony A9, I still get unbelievable dynamic range. I'm changing the title to Let's Talk About the Sony A9, because I know a lot of people are curious. So The dynamic range, like, so on my review video, I don't know if you noticed, but a few shots are a little bit overexposed, especially when I was outside. Sorry guys, I just took a shower, so my hair's a little wet, but I was outside and I didn't realize how overexposed the footage was until I got home to edit, because I was outside, I couldn't see the viewfinder well. I didn't even bother to look in the eyepiece for some reason, because I was just not thinking about it. And I shoot in manual, I don't shoot in auto exposure. So when I got home, a lot of my footage just looked white. The sky was all white. So what happened was I was able to restore like maybe 80-90% of the natural data that was recorded, and I was able to drop it down, and from white, from having a white sky, it turned into a blue sky. So I was able to restore a lot of that data. So the dynamic range on the A9 is freaking fantastic. And a lot of people have been saying that the A7R2 dynamic range was better. We're switching over to photography now. So in the photos, the A7R2 was reported to have way better, not way better, but better dynamic range than the A9. But I saw a video by another photographer named Jared Polin. He has a pretty big YouTube channel. He took a photo at a baseball game inside of a booth. And what happened was, inside and outside have two different kinds of exposure, right? We have bright outside and kind of dark inside. So he snapped an image, and what he did, he restored all the blown out whites on the outside part of the image. He dropped it down in Lightroom, and it looked fantastic. So he had clipped colors. They were pure white, and he was able to drop down the using Lightroom, he was able to adjust the sliders and completely transform that white into blue. So that is fantastic. So the A9 is definitely an impressive camera, and don't get me started on how accurate the focus is and how accurate the face tracking is. It's literally moving with my face in real time. A lot faster than the A7S and a lot faster than the A7R2. It just has these incredible focus points, 693 I believe, 93% coverage of the sensor, which means that 93% of the sensor is basically focus. It's dedicated to focus. So it was very accurate during my test shoots with it, and it locked onto focus, and it it was in focus the whole entire time, no issues. So that was something the A7R2 had trouble doing at times, and definitely something the A7S had trouble doing. Do you have any stabilizers that you would recommend if the budget was under $100? $100. My friend, $100, I wouldn't recommend going cheaper than that. Because that's when the quality is going to really start to drop. I would say save up another $50 and get the Flowcam. Under $100, you're not looking in a good area there. You're going to get something that's not going to last you a long time. But yeah, try to raise up at least $50 more. That way you'll be able to afford the Flowcam. Todd, I own a DJI Osmo Pro, the Mavic, and the Phantom 4 Pro. I'm looking to step up into a DSLR. What would be good to keep, and what would be ideal to sell? You're using a DJI Osmo Pro, so that means you have the upgraded camera. I would think that you should sell the DJI Osmo Pro. Definitely sell the Osmo, because I used to have an Osmo and I sold it after 8 months. I used it maybe 10 to 12 times. It's very difficult to use. And then now you're asking, you want to step up to a DSLR, which one would be... Okay, so do you know which DSLR you want to get? I don't know what the retail price of the Osmo Pro is right now. So let me know if you have the price. Wayne Huang, hi, I'm from China. Hello, China. How you doing? But yeah, I mean, look, This camera is so much beefier than the A7R2, and a huge difference compared to the A7S Mark I. I think I'm going to keep the A7S for a pretty long time, unless I become trigger happy and buy the A7S Mark III, which I hope. I'm going to try and control myself. It's a camera that I probably don't need at the time, because I just bought this camera, so I need to stop worrying about buying different cameras and start buying different lenses, you know? See, I'm preaching to you guys not to do what I'm doing, and that is just investing on all this new technology that I don't necessarily need. Rather invest in glass rather than the camera body, because glass is literally a game changer in your footage. It's not necessarily the camera body, it's more about the glass you're using. So keep that in mind. So Todd says he wants to get a GH5 or A6500. Retail on the DJI Osmo Pro is $2,500. So maybe you can sell it for like, okay. So if you sell it, you will be able to buy either an A6500 or a GH5. Now, fly just hit my hand. So if you buy a GH5, stock right now, I think it's about $2,000, body only. You're gonna have to buy a lens as well. However, if you buy the A6500, you will actually save money because it's around $1,300, and you can spend another $600 or $700 on the lens. So my take would be to go for the A6500. You're gonna get a smaller camera body, cropped sensor, invest in a good lens, maybe a Zeiss, or actually there's an 18 millimeter zoom. I forgot which one, what focal. I was gonna buy it, but then I found out it's for crop sensor cameras only. But look at the 18 millimeter zoom Sony lens for your A6500. It has a motorized zoom, so you can get very smooth zooms, and you'll be able to buy both that camera and the lens, and that will make up for the money that you spent on the Osmo after you sell it. So consider the A6500 in a lens rather than the GH5, because the GH5 is pretty expensive, coming at $2,000 body only. Wayne says, love your videos, thank you so much. Prinyak, I want to do videos for my new DSLR. Shall I buy a Canon 80D or 77D? I like the 80D. Yeah, I agree with Todd. JJ, what's the secret? JJ's asking, what's the secret to stopping the slight pendulum effect on the glide cams, or do you just have to put up with the little of it? So the secret, so let's say you balanced everything perfectly, right? You did the dynamic test, you did the static test, everything comes out great. You do the drop time test, everything comes out great. Your camera is perfectly set to horizon. Now, I want you to look at some of Devin Supertramp's videos. Notice how he's running around with the glide cam. It's not always leveled. It's not always leveled, especially when he's running. That's what's different between a manual, that's what's different between a glide cam and an electronic stabilizer. An electronic stabilizer is going to keep the camera leveled no matter what. Glide cam adds a little bit of a different look and a different feel. Now, there is a difference between a little bit of that, you know, feel like, you know, horizon change a little bit, and then there's the pendulum effect where it feels like you're wobbling around. Now, the wobbling around only has to deal with when you're not properly balancing the glide cam. I know that's something you don't want to hear, but I promise you it has to deal with not properly balancing the glide cam. Now, when you properly balance the glide cam and you run around, do crazy moves, yes, you are going to get some feedback from the glide cam, just a slight feedback. But that's where you use your other hand to assist the gimbal by tapping it gently and guiding it in the right direction. That's what's going to eliminate that slight wobbling effect. Never grab the gimbal, you know, like a firm grip. Never do that. Just tap it. The less contact you make with the gimbal, the better results you are going to get. Eris says I save up for the ADD and I'm loving it. Great choice. JJ answered your question. Jeremy says I have the GH4 now, first wedding season, but doing well. Good. So my GH4 always has focusing issues. I just don't think it likes my face. It does a horrible job tracking my face, but every inanimate object that I shoot, the focus is spot on. So I don't know, maybe it's just my face it doesn't like. I don't know. I don't know why the GH4 behaves that way, but any inanimate object, it just, boom, focus is spot on. Jeremy is... Oh, Albert Weiss is asking, what happened to my A7R2? I broke it. I wanted to replace the LCD screen that I scratched up, and I ended up snapping some important cables by accident, and I had to sell it. Instead of, you know, investing another $500 to fix an older camera. I just wanted to sell it, get a new A9. Happier that way. Jeremy Foster is asking... wonder why I should move to Sony. Jeremy, what are you shooting on right? Okay, you're shooting on a GH4. So, should I move to a Sony? It depends how dedicated you are to Panasonic. What kind of glass do you have? How many lenses do you have with Panasonic? If you have, you know, third-party manufacturer lenses, feel free to switch. But I do implore that you get native lenses with your camera. You're losing out on a lot of features by not using native glass. You're missing out on stabilization, focus, and sometimes even picture quality. So I always strongly suggest using native glass on the body. Sometimes I use my Rokinon on my Sonys. That's fine because it's a full manual lens, but if you're investing a lot of money in your glass and it has all these neat features, make sure it can properly communicate to your camera. All right? That way you get the most out of what you paid for. Jeremy is asking because you want to move to low light performance, internal IS, full frame, and yet if I'm doing okay now, should I not wait a year? So yeah, one of the reasons why I don't use the GH4 professionally is because of the low light and, you know, I only have one lens with it. I bought my GH4 as a vlogging camera, believe it or not. So I just use it for like vlogging and stuff like that, and when I want to take a quick picture or something, because it's a really user-friendly camera. The Sonys are a little bit more difficult to use. So the GH4, boom, power on, boom, take a picture. It's a lot quicker than the Sonys. With the Sonys, it's slightly slower, and the menu is a little bit more confusing. The GH4, touchscreen that, touchscreen this, flip out screen, you know, and it has a built-in flash. I mean, it has a lot of these cool features that the Sonys don't have. And it's a lot more user-friendly, and that's why I decided to use it as a vlogging camera. And sometimes even as a C camera when I need a third camera on a shoot. June Media, for post-production, do you use any stabilization assistance, such as Warp Stabilizer in After Effects or Adobe Premiere? I don't. Have I before? Yeah, definitely. I use Final Cut, though. A new software came out, I believe it's called Real Steady. I think it's like $400, but they said that it's supposed to be the best stabilization software for After Effects. So I want to check that out. Maybe they sell a trial. I can maybe try out the program and see how well it does. But I do suggest, you know, if your footage is shaky, it's already too late to reshoot something. You might as well work with what you got and use digital stabilization. But if I were to, you know, really tell you guys what to do, don't rely on digital stabilization to save your footage. Rely on you to capture the right footage. Get something that will help with the steadiness of your video. Digital stabilization, don't forget what happens is how the software works is it crops in on your image, and what it does, it warps the sides of the image, and that's what stabilizes the footage. So you're actually losing resolution, and you're cropping in. That's not always what someone wants to do in an image. So that's why I don't like to use digital stabilization too much. Yeah, have I used it before? Yes, I have, but it's not the ultimate solution. The ultimate solution is capturing the footage properly. Cropping in is just sometimes not an option for me. I don't like losing resolution, and I just don't like cropping in when not needed. Can you link the program you said? Sure, let me find the link for you. So here is, they follow me. The company, Real Steady, that's the name of the company. They follow me on Instagram. It's kind of cool. They liked a few of my posts. Here's Real Steady. Check it out. realsteady.com. What app are you using for editing your videos? I'm using Final Cut Pro. Insane Angel Pictures. Is it worth it to switch from a glide cam to a Jew and crane? So listen, I wouldn't. If you already have a glide cam, I wouldn't sell it. I would keep it and still buy the Jew and crane, because both systems offer you different picture, different feel overall. So keep that in mind. I get different footage with my glide cams than I do with my Jew and crane and my Came TV Argo. Completely different footage. One is more human, one is more robotic. Sometimes I need both in one shoot. It all depends, but both tools provide different looks. So don't get rid of the glide cam. Keep it. It's a great tool. And it's very, once you learn how to use it, it's very versatile. No batteries needed. It's a lot more durable than electronic gimbals. I mean, it has its perks. It really does. Jeremy Foster said, you mentioned photography with regard to the GH4, but I was talking about Panasonic versus Sony with regard to videography. I do wedding videos. So yeah, if you're talking about videos, I definitely work with Sony over my GH4. Simply because I love the autofocus. I love the low light capabilities. I love the 5-axis in-body stabilization. On my A9, my A7S doesn't have that, but I also have Zeiss lenses that work really well with these Sony cameras. So I do prefer my Sony over the GH4 when I'm coming down to like a professional shoot. But the GH4 is a way better vlogging camera, definitely. Jeremy Foster, Sony is twice the cost, but I wonder how much more value I'd be making the jump sooner than later. It depends on your budget right now. It all depends on how much money you're making from your business. It all depends on how much money you're making. You don't want to be spending more money than what you're earning. So this is when you have to like take out a piece of paper and do some accounting work, count up your numbers and see where you're losing money, where you're gaining money. Do you actually have funds to spend on a new camera after your bills are paid? Okay, so you still got to put food on the table, pay your electric bill, gas bill, car payments, whatever bills that you have. And you have to have money left over for you, disregarding work or anything like that. Like if you want to go to the movies, hang out with your friends, you got to have spending money. And if you have money left over that, then yes, you can start investing in a camera like the Sonys. But you have to invest wisely. That's something I'm still learning how to do. Like I said, I'm trigger happy. If I see a new technology, I instantly click on buy and I buy it. That's something you don't want to do. That's how you go bankrupt really quick. I'm learning that right now. I'm keeping myself away from Sony's website. I'm keeping myself away from B&H Photo. I don't want to go there. I don't, because I know if I do, I'm going to buy everything. I'm actually in September buying some new lights. But this is something I really do need. I do need new lights. They're LED box lights, and they're 1200 LED beads, and they're wirelessly controlled. So that's something I really wanted for a long time. But that goes besides the point. JJ is asking, what do you mainly shoot? What is your bread and butter? So I mainly shoot workout videos at the moment. So like Rob Rich's videos, and I shoot also music videos too. So that's currently what I shoot, and I also, of course, shoot for my tutorials on YouTube. So that's mainly what I'm shooting. I want to gear myself towards music videos, though. That's like my real passion. That should be my bread and butter. And then my second passion is motivation, like in the, you know, in working out, like Gold's Gym, shooting, like that grunge stuff. I love doing that. I really do. So that's two things that I'm shooting with right now, for right now. Last week or the week before, I shot some vlogs for some big YouTubers like Logan Paul and FaZe Banks and all them. So you can look them up on YouTube as well. We did some cool challenges with them using reptiles, so that was pretty fun. So yeah, sometimes I shoot vlogs for other YouTubers. So yeah, it's you know, I shoot a lot of different things. Weddings are something I don't really like to shoot, simply because there's just so much going on. I'm not a good audio guy, so I know that I would have to hire an audio guy. I would have to hire a drone guy, simply because I can't do everything on my own. I want to be focused, and I want to have a team that can just cover things that you know, that I'm not that focused on. I want to just focus on getting the details, getting the bride, groom, ceremony, you know, reception, stuff like that. And I want a team that can capture all the other stuff, the B-roll stuff, and the audio, obviously. So once I build my team, I'll be able to conquer any sort of event that I want, that, you know, that needs to be shot. So I hope that answered your question, JJ. Lakana Nicholas. How did you get started, and what advice do you have for beginners? So I made an audio course, a 37-minute audio course. It's free. I'm going to send you a link right now. I want you to listen to it because I get asked this question on every single live stream. And this course is going to tell you how to get clients. It's going to tell you how to get started, how I got started. I tell you my own personal story. So I'm going to send you this link here. Check it out. It's 37 minutes. You can listen to it in your car, on your phone, you know, wherever. Listen to this audio course. It's 37 minutes, and you'll learn a lot from it. Insane Angel Picture says, I have a Canon 60. Should I upgrade to the GH4 or 60 Mark II? 60 Mark II, man. Since you already have a Canon, I guess you already have Canon lenses, so I think the 60 Mark II is a great camera. This original 60 was great, and the 60 Mark II, I'm not too sure about the specs, but I knew that the 60 was fantastic, and I'm sure they made the Mark II better. The GH4, you might as well go for the GH5 if you wanted to go to Panasonic, but since you stick with Canon, they know what they're doing, and switch over to Sony once you think you're ready. But no, I love Canon. I had the 5D Mark II, and I love that camera so much. I was a Canon guy all my life. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Canon cameras, all, you know, all pro gear, and I absolutely loved it. And then Sony came out with the A7S, and I absolutely fell in love because nothing could compete with that low light capability. So I just switched over to Sony because of that camera. Lakana Nicholas, did you take any courses? If yes, what and where were they worth it? So yes, I did take a few film courses. I took 2 or 3 film courses in Santa Monica College here in Southern California. And what happened in these courses, you know, I didn't learn anything new when it came down to like film theory and stuff like that. I already knew what they were teaching me because I already had an extensive, you know, I already knew a lot from experience and from reading a lot and watching a lot of tutorial videos on YouTube. But what I did learn in that college course, in those college courses, was how to work in a team. Because coming in, I had a really big ego. My ego was massive, bigger than the Empire State Building. And what those courses taught me was how to get rid of that ego and work in a group and think as a group and not as an individual. And that's a very important skill. So taking a course, any sort of course that forces you to work in a group, is a very important thing to do. Because you may not know that you have an ego until you work with somebody. And that's just, it's a game changer. You really learn about yourself and about others, and it transforms the way you look at group communication and group work and all that stuff, because you are going to be working with clients. The client is your client. You're working in a little group with this client. So you have to learn communication, how to take action, you know, all that stuff. And it's very important not to have those egos. I've had instances where I've shot a web series with a director, and I literally got almost into a physical fist fight with the director because, you know, we were both wrong. You know, I wanted the shot to look like this, he wanted the shot to look like that, and we just literally like were at each other's throats. So, and that was just a big ego thing, a really, really big ego thing. And then there was another instance when I was filming a music video, and the DP, I was just a camera guy, camera assistant, B-roll. I was shooting B-roll. And the DP had a really bad anger problem. And he had a very, very bad ego. Nobody wanted to work with him. He just ended up on the shoot. I've seen him before, and I couldn't believe I ended up working with him. But because I did, you know, I saw how much of an a-hole he was. You know, he was really, really mean. And, you know, even the guy who hired me to shoot the shoot told me that he's a great, like, he's great at what he does, but he's not great at communication that way. And basically my employer at the time told me that he was only giving him work and nobody else was giving him work, simply because they knew each other, they were friends or something like that. But there's no room for egos, guys. Really no room. So Lakana, I hope I answered that question. Jeremy is laughing at me, saying, ha ha ha, buying too much. That's exactly what's inspiring my questions. Glad to hear you're going through it still. I'm not glad. Looking at my bank account, I'm not glad. But it's okay. You know, if you can make the money back in a shoot or two, you're fine. So I'm not worried. And I got a good financing deal, and I sold the A7R2, so I have money to pay that off. So I'm not worried, but I'm not investing in camera bodies anymore. And I have my lights covered now. In September, I'm getting new lights, so I'll be done with lights. I'm done with cameras now. The only thing I'm going to be focusing on right now are lenses. I'm still missing a G Master 70-200. That's something I need in my gear list. So I'm getting money, saving money for that. I'm smartly investing. I'm saving money, not spending all the money that I'm earning. I'm slowly building up to that point where I can buy a 70-200. Luckily, I haven't needed it yet since I have a old Canon 28-135, and I use that lens in crop sensor mode on the Sonys, and that gives me a range of what? Let's do the math here. 14, so that's 38, so 42-200. That's basically the range I'm getting on that Canon. So I use that lens if I need something that's kind of like a telephoto shot. But the G Master 70-200, baby, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for within the next 6 months. You will be in my hands. That G Master 70-200. What lens is best for the Sony a6000 for videography? I need to get back to you on that because I mix up my lenses for crop sensor. I only use full frame. I do have a GH4, but I don't really use it on my main shoots. But let me get back. Email me, Lakana, email me. We'll talk through email. My email's info@capturethemomentum.com. Email me, we'll talk more about lenses, okay? Jeremy Foster, seems to me that even after all these years after the Canon video revolution, the market for video is totally unsaturated. Why do you think that is? Especially with all the resources people like you provide. Do you think it's saturated, huh? Unsaturated. I think it's actually very saturated. A lot of people doing tutorials, a lot of people I mean, there's a few YouTubers out there who claim to be filmmakers, and they're not good filmmakers. Um, I mean, I have a name in my head that I can't say this person's name because I don't want to talk bad about anybody. I don't want to, I don't want to damage that person's reputation. But there's one specific person that I know that's on YouTube promoting themselves as like a filmmaker, but in reality, oh, no. But it's definitely very, very saturated. There's a lot of filmmakers, a lot of good filmmakers, a lot of good photographers. Another great channel that you should look up is Mango Street. They offer some fantastic tips in photography and videography. So look up Mango Street. They do a great job. Their videos are blowing up really, really fast. They do a great job. But tell me why you think it's unsaturated, Jeremy. I feel like it's very saturated. But because the competition is so high right now on YouTube, especially for filmmaking, I feel like it's extremely saturated. Really, really saturated. Do you use cameras like GoPros, iPhones, or other cameras besides pro stuff to create pro content? Yeah, so I shot a few car videos where I had to use a GoPro, a few GoPros actually. So I don't own GoPros. I borrowed the GoPros because for my, my average shoots, I never need a GoPro. I really don't. I'm much more comfortable using a camera like this than I am a GoPro because I'm able to it's more tangible to me than a GoPro. GoPro is just so tiny, and I don't enjoy things that I can't really control too well. And a GoPro, I'm not saying that GoPro is a bad camera. I'm just saying that majority of my shoots I would never consider using a GoPro. But like car stuff, and if I need like a little camera to put somewhere, definitely would rent out a GoPro and just use that. But GoPros are $400 a pop. I mean, if I were to be really, really happy with GoPros, I'd probably buy 4. That's $1,600 for me. I don't do enough gigs in that line of work to buy those GoPros. So if I did, yes, definitely, but I don't. So I don't need them. I was never a huge GoPro fan, unfortunately, even though I love the concept, but never was a huge GoPro fan. Jeremy Foster, there are a lot of people, but people come and go quick. In that sense, I mean unsaturated. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people, the come and go thing, it has a lot to do with just where their motivation is at and how serious they're taking things. I still wouldn't call it unsaturated because if someone leaves, definitely someone's going to come here and take their place. So there's always a fill-in for somebody on YouTube, always. That's why you got to be consistent with your content. And the more consistent you are with your content, the more uploads you're doing and sharing your content, you won't be able to be replaced. You don't want your subscribers forgetting about you. So I run a newsletter, and I also run a YouTube channel. I run a Facebook page. I run an Instagram page. On average, on social media alone, like every day, I spend probably 5 to 6 hours getting content done. I need to find a post for Instagram, find a post for Facebook, find a post for YouTube. I take a lot of time out of my day. That's why I stay up late at night coming up with new video tutorials. I write for each video I create. I made a deal with myself, and I think this is a good deal for you too if you ever decide to put up content. For every video you create, that night you have to think of 2 ideas for new content, 2 new videos. So every video you put out, you have to have 2 videos, 2 ideas for 2 different videos. Okay, so you're doubling up on each video. That way you never run out of ideas. So that was my rule. I call it the rule of deuces. Quote me on that. The rule of deuces, guys. I don't know, it just sounds fly, that's why. The rule of deuces, guys. Every video you put out, you have to have 2 ideas. Every video you put out, write down two new ideas, okay? And follow through with them. PT Frankham. I am a PT and do informative content, but want to do more edits for advertising, but don't have anyone to film me. Do you think doing everything solo would work in post? So PT, I'm assuming you're a personal trainer, and you're doing informative content, right? You're a personal trainer, I'm assuming. So do you think doing everything solo could work in post? Well, one of my biggest clients, Rob Riches, he does a lot of the videos on his own. So yeah, it would definitely work. A lot of people actually prefer seeing some of that footage every now and then, like vlog style footage. So you can definitely shoot yourself with the camera. But I do recommend buying something called the GorillaPod. And that's basically, here, I'll show you what a GorillaPod is. Give me a second. I have it right here. So this is a GorillaPod. It's a flexible tripod that can clamp on to about anything. Your camera mounts up on here. And this just grips onto anything you want. You can use it as a shoulder rig. You can actually, if you're working out at the gym, you can actually put this on like a Smith machine or something easily and just record yourself working out. And another thing I strongly suggest that you do is buy an external microphone, whether it being a lavalier or like an onboard mic. So think about that. Right, back in the frame. Jeremy Foster, so why does it seem so few make it and last? Well, like I said, a lot of people are motivated and they don't run out of content, and the subscribers are constantly checking out their content. The subscribers have to love the content, because that's a lot of motivation for the creator. Like, my motivation for creating and sustaining my YouTube channel is you guys. You guys are my motivation. You're my motivation every day for uploading, content on all my social media. If it wasn't for my subscribers, I would not be uploading, because no one would be watching or caring about it, right? So, I don't know. A lot of people just don't have that motivation or that passion or that drive, or maybe they're experiencing something in their personal life that's interfering with their goals or something like that. But you never really know. But a lot of the time, it's because people make content just to make content, monetize it. They don't really care about the viewers. And if you look at a lot of big YouTubers now, that's has a lot to do with that. But people come and go because of external situations, something that they can't control, and then a lot of people come and go because they just don't care anymore. It's hard to narrow down what's happening without looking at a specific individual. So I hope that answers your question. JJ, what's your opinion about the wave of really good YouTube guys and girls? For example, Casey Neistat, who makes videos about nothing. An example like Seinfeld, it's more about their catchy style than the content. So Casey Neistat, I'm not a fan of his content, but I am a fan of how he shoots his content. I just don't have it in my day to watch a 20-minute vlog about somebody's life, because that's saturated so much on YouTube. I really don't have time. However, if it was like an educational vlog where I was constantly learning something new, I would be watching. That's completely different. So I'm not a big fan of Casey's content, but I am a fan of how he shoots it, the time lapses, the different camera angles. He keeps it quick and to the point, which I admire. I really like his editing style and shooting style, not necessarily the content. PT is asking, perfect, thanks, man. I have a GorillaPod Canon 80D, tripod, Rode Micro. Great, awesome. An 18 to 55 lens, 10 to 18 wide lens, 55 to 250 zoom, and a 50 prime. Dude, you're set, man. You are set to make all these videos on your own, man. You know, you have your own little production company. It looks like you have a pretty good setup there. Mr. Jizzes. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Sorry, a bit late to the conversation. I just wonder, what is your most important tip for a new filmmaker? Most important tip. If I were to pick one tip, what would it be? Find a mentor. When I'm grabbing my hair like this, guys, when I'm like fixing it stuff, it means I'm thinking. I'm going into deep thought. So find a mentor. I feel like that's the best #1 tip. Find somebody who can teach you and inspire you. You don't necessarily have to meet the person. You can find this person on YouTube or a forum or something, but find one person, stick to that person, and then start expanding your mentors, okay? Pick one mentor in the beginning, then start building on a few more mentors. That way you get a different perspective, a different look on things. Start learning from them and incorporating some of their shooting styles in your shoots, and then try giving it a little bit of a twist. The twist has to come from you and what you think looks cool. And then send it to somebody who can watch it and get their honest opinion about it. Okay, get a critique and see if they like it. And then if they like it, you know you're doing something right. Or if they dislike it, you know you're doing something wrong. And try to get as many perspectives as you can when you are getting a critique. VFX Studio, what do you think about Flycam Red King? You know, I had a Flycam in the beginning. I think it was the Flycam 2000 or 4000, something like that. That was my first camera stabilizer. I gave it back the next day because I just didn't like Flycam. However, they changed completely. They have a different, they have a different quality management. They moved to Canada. Their production is done in Canada. So I don't know. I haven't heard of the new Red King. Send me a link to it. I'll check it out. I already got sponsored by another company that's similar to Flycam called Flowcam. That's the name of the stabilizer. The camera company is called Cam Gear. So yeah. Next question. Len, your opinion on editing software? I'm about to use Avid. Avid is some serious stuff. That's all I can say about Avid. It's very, very serious, not user-friendly. I would strongly suggest either starting off or using Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro. Those are more general. More people are using that kind of software rather than Avid. Avid is just, a lot of people don't understand that software quite yet. So yeah, but Avid, if you're good at Avid, stick to Avid. I'm sure you'll get hired on a few shoots or by a production company if you know how to edit in Avid. I'm going to tie my hair back. It's annoying me. But yeah, Avid is good. Any more questions, guys? We're going on for 59 minutes already. It's impressive. Len says, I have Adobe Premium Elements 11. I don't even know what that is. Premium Elements. I've never used that. What is hosted account on YouTube? I have no idea. Bearcat, you're asking me what is a hosted account? Don't know what you mean. Don't know what you mean. And for those of you who are just tuning in, did you guys say hello to my new Sony A9? There she is. Of course, the logo is taped off. I explained earlier in the live stream why it's taped off, so skip back and you'll find out why, but I did leave one logo open. Where is it? Let me get it in the light here. It's hard to see. There's the A9 logo right there. So yeah, that's the A9. Freaking love this camera, guys. More than double the battery life of the regular A7S systems, A7 IIs and all that. So you want to see the battery? Let me show you the battery. So we have this kind of battery. Let me grab a A7R2 battery for you, and I'll show you the difference in size. So Sony A7 series batteries, you know, the first A7s Mark 1s and A7 IIs, you know, they all use the same battery. Here it is. Here's the A9 battery. Significantly larger. It's about the same size as a Canon 5D battery. So, yeah, so it's pretty cool that Sony upgraded the battery capacity. Now, there aren't any third-party manufacturers of this battery, which sucks because I love third-party manufacturers. They make it for a lot cheaper, but there was nothing online that was third-party, unfortunately, because it's still a new camera, and I understand why there isn't anything new, but each battery is $80. It's pretty expensive for such a small battery. And it's basically the same battery as a 5D. It's just different pin connectors. So that's how they make proprietary batteries, guys. Different pin connectors. PT is asking, is there a laptop you recommend that isn't a Mac? I really like Acer, or Asus, excuse me. There's Acer and Asus. I like Asus a lot. What I used before my Mac, I've been with Mac since 2013. Only 4 years. Wow, seems a lot longer than that. So yeah, I've had 2 MacBook Pros so far. Before that, I was using a Sony Vaio. They don't make Sony Vaio computers anymore. I loved that computer. It was very powerful, but very loud, got hot really easily, and it was very big and heavy. The MacBook Pros are very sleek and very light, and the batteries are amazing. But so look at Asus and look at Dell. Dell Workstation. I forgot the name because I don't use PC anymore, but if we go on Dell's website, they have a few awesome, is it Inspiron or which one is it? Alienware is good. I want to see which one from Dell. They have high performance laptops from Dell. Really like high performance, high quality laptops, and very cheap prices too. Yeah, check out Dell. I want to get the model name for you so you know what to look at. There's Inspiron. XPS, that's what it is. Look at the Dell XPS. Those are high performance computers. And if you have more money to spend, think about Alienware because that's where you can really spec out a computer. Definitely think about that. Krishna says, nice A9. Thank you so much. I have a Canon 750D. Is it a good one for beginner filmmaker? Yes. Guys, I will say this now and I will say it forever, until the end of time. Any camera is a good camera for a beginner especially. You can get away with just using your iPhone. You really could. Why do I have expensive equipment? Because the expensive equipment allows me to allows me to have a wider variety of options. However, an iPhone, if you're just a beginner and you don't know if you want to, move on with filmmaking, or you don't know how you can operate as a filmmaker, use an iPhone. Test out what you can do with an iPhone, because an iPhone can get you some superb image quality. Believe it or not. Obviously, it's not as good as the pro stuff, but it's a start. And it's a pretty damn good start, because the quality of those cameras are great for what they are. Let's answer one more question, guys. Gotta get early tomorrow, so I'll answer one more question, and then we'll call it a night. It's been an hour-long live stream, so that's good. I'm happy about that. Next question I have here is from Krishna. Cheap 4K camera you recommend? What's your budget? Let me know what cheap is to you. Maybe under 1,000 USD. GH4. Easy. Definitely recommend a 4K camera. It's definitely a great 4K camera. I have the GH4. I use it all the time for like vlogs and stuff. But if you upgrade the glass, excuse me, if you upgrade the glass in the near future, you can keep upgrading lenses. You can get some crazy cool images with the video and photo with the GH4. Under $1,000. All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, please don't forget to give this video a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel with notifications. That way, you will be updated on the latest content. And I want to share as much knowledge as I can with you guys. Okay. So check back later on in this week. Stay up to date with me on social media like Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram is momentum_productions. Check me out on Instagram, add me there, ask me questions through the DMs, and I'll try to get back to you when I can. And stay tuned, because I'm going to be uploading more content throughout this week. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Have fun filmmaking, and send me your stuff. I want to see what you guys are creating, okay? All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon.